If you don't think Jon Stewart has what it takes to be president, then you probably just haven't seen this clip from a 9/11 Victims Fund hearing where he absolutely destroys future Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. It's insane. My guy does not miss.
Mr. Johnson, you made a point earlier, and it was one that we have heard over and over again in these halls, and I couldn't help but to answer to it, which was, you said, look, you guys are obviously heroes, and 9/11 was a big deal, but, we have a lot of stuff here to do. And, we got to make sure there's money for a variety of disasters, hurricanes and tornadoes. But this wasn't a hurricane. And this wasn't a tornado. And by the way, that's your job anyway. We can't fund these programs. You can. Setting aside that no American in this country should face financial ruin because of a health issue. Certainly 9/11 first responders shouldn't have to decide whether to live or to have a place to live. And the idea that you can only give them 5 more years of the VCF because you're not quite sure what's going to happen 5 years from now, well, I can tell you, I'm pretty sure what's going to happen 5 years from now. More of these men and women are going to get sick and they are going to die. And I am awfully tired of hearing that it's a 9/11 New York issue. Al-Qaeda didn't shout death to Tribeca.
Jon Stewart spent decades holding people accountable for their actions, usually using humor, but in this situation, he shows he can also use straight up politics. And unlike other comedians, when he gets serious, it doesn't come off as sanctimonious, it comes off as powerful.
This hearing should be flipped. These men and women should be up on that stage, and Congress should be down here answering their questions as to why this is so damn hard and takes so damn long. And why, no matter what they get, something's always pulled back and they got to come back.
He always seems to have the right thing to say. Like in this scenario where he's telling the members of Congress that they need to actually fund people with lifelong illnesses for their entire lives, especially when they're 9/11 first responders.
They responded in 5 seconds. They did their jobs with courage, grace, tenacity, humility. 18 years later, do yours. Thank you.
I mean, look at this guy die inside, as he knows that Jon Stewart is doing authenticity better than this cartoon Bible salesman will ever be able to. And when he says stuff like this, people all over the internet say, oh, he should run for president, he should run for president, he should run for president. And I get it. I get why. He calls the rich and powerful out for their hypocrisy better than 90% of you rappers out can.
This is an embarrassment to the Senate, to the country, to the founders, and all that they profess to hold dear. And if this is America first, then America is f***ed. I don't even know, honestly, I don't even know what to say. I've been coming down here 10, 15 years. I'm used to the hypocrisy. Christina Keene will tell you from VFW. She sat in an office with Mitch McConnell and a war veteran from Kentucky, and he looked that man in the eyes and he said, we'll get it done. And he lied to him. Because Mitch McConnell yesterday flipped. I'm used to the lies. I'm used to the hypocrisy. Senator Pat Toomey won't take a meeting with the veterans groups. Sends out his chief of staff. I'm used to the cowardice. I've been here a long time. Senate's where accountability goes to die. These people don't care. They're never losing their jobs. They're never losing their health care. Pat Toomey didn't lose his job. He's walking away. God knows what kind of pot of gold he's stepping into to lobby this government to shit on more people. I'm used to all of it, but I am not used to the cruelty.
And it's not just this single issue. He went viral recently for calling out the Deputy Secretary of Defense for failing a bunch of audits, and essentially the Pentagon displacing hundreds of billions of dollars.
When I see a State Department get a certain amount of money and a military budget be 10 times that, and I see a struggle within government to get people like more basic services, and then that department that got that, I mean, we got out of 20 years of war and the Pentagon got a $50 billion raise. Like, that's shocking to me. Now, I may not understand exactly the ins and outs and the incredible magic of an audit, but I'm a human being who lives on the earth and can't figure out how $850 billion to a department means that the rank and file still have to be on food stamps. Like, to me, that's corruption.
So the question is, should Jon Stewart be the president of the United States? And the answer is no. Wanting a comedian to be your president is like wanting to have sex with your therapist. It's a bad idea. I understand why you have it, but it's a horrible idea. A comedian isn't there to solve your problems for you. They're there to tell you what your problems are so you can figure out how to solve them. Like, he'll tell you himself.
Comedy doesn't change the world, but it's a bellwether. We're the banana peel in the coal mine. When a society is under threat, comedians are the ones who get sent away first. Authoritarians are the threat to comedy, to art, to music, to thought, to poetry, to progress.
Exposing absurdity or exposing hypocrisy, what's the point? Well, the point is that this is a relentless fight. They always talk about, you know, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But it doesn't bend towards justice by gravity. Like, you have to bend it. And there's a bunch of people trying to bend it back.
Like, he'll tell you exactly why people, for example, like Donald Trump. Like, he knows, and it's cathartic to hear it.
The reason why Donald Trump became popular in the first place, and the reason why these populist movements, is that the citizenry have become fed up with the lack of accountability for those in power. We have no accountability in our financial systems. We have no accountability for the bankers. I mean, our Congress trades stocks with information they get making laws, and they do it to great success. And they won't stop it because they're the ones in charge of making the law about it. And instead of bringing accountability to the rampant corruption that is surrounds our government and our financial systems, the Supreme Court just changed the definition of corruption.
And for people on the left, like, he talks about people on the right whom you hate, and he makes you feel awesome for hating them.
So nowadays, when you watch Republicans campaign against Democrats, they don't campaign much on what they used to, which was, you know, the Democrats were big spenders or whatever, you know, what. It's all about critical race theory,
Sure.
And it's all this cancel culture stuff.
Yes. Again, I don't even think half of the Republicans that do it even mean it. I think they think it's
it works.
Emotion.
Right.
What would you do if you were out of governing ideas? Talk about cancel culture, never seem to shut the up about. Look, the internet has democratized criticism. What do we do for a living? We talk, we criticize, we postulate, we opine, we make jokes, and now other people are having their say. And that's not cancel culture, that's relentlessness. It's not the fragility of audiences. It's not the woke police that are going to be an existential threat to comedy. It's not the Fresh Prince. It's the Crown Prince. It's not the fragility of audiences. It's the fragility of leaders.
And he actually does stuff that a psychiatrist would never do. He goes into the lion's den, confronts your enemies face to face, and tells them exactly what's wrong with them.
Your partisan, what do you call it, hacks. I have privately amongst my friends and also in occasional newspapers and television shows mentioned this show as being bad. It's not so much that it's bad as it's hurting America. Here's just what I wanted to tell you guys. Yeah. Stop.
Man, it's devastating, and you need to see my other video explaining how this moment is actually Tucker Carlson's villain origin story, by the way, specifically for moments like this.
I'm sorry. I think you're a good comedian. I think your lectures are boring. Let me ask you a question on the news.
No, this is theater. I mean, it's obvious. How old are you?
35.
And you wear a bow tie.
Yeah, I do. I do.
So this is...
No, I know. You're right. No, let me just go. No, come on.
And listen, I'm not suggesting that you're not a smart guy, because those are not easy to tie. But the thing is that what you do is partisan hackery. And I'll tell you why I know it.
You have John Kerry on your show, and you sniff his throne, and you're accusing us of partisan hackery?
Absolutely.
You've got to be kidding, man.
You're on CNN.
Say,
the show that leads into me is puppets making crank phone calls. What is wrong with you?
I want to contrast our questions with some questions you asked John Kerry.
If you want to compare your show to a comedy show, you're more than welcome to.
Here's the point.
It's interesting to hear you talk about my responsibility to the, I didn't realize that, and maybe this explains quite a bit.
No, the opportunity
is that the news organizations look to Comedy Central for their cues on integrity. So.
Right. And he's absolutely right, and it's so sad. And following this interview, they canceled Crossfire, that show with Tucker Carlson and Paul Begala. And at the height of The Daily Show, they did studies discovering that Jon Stewart was actually the most trusted anchor on television. And people will say that is a reason to make Jon Stewart president of the United States. But I'm sure that even Jon Stewart would say, no, don't do that. Case in point, when he tweeted, no, thank you. And I think Pete Davidson, your girlfriend's boyfriend, puts it best.
Jon is really such an exceptional person that, he really could be president tomorrow, and he's smart enough to not want the job.
And to get back to the psychiatrist metaphor, it makes sense that you love this man, because for decades he's helped you cope with your problems by putting everything in perspective. But I'd say don't punish him for that by making him president. He's out there doing good, either by passing legislation, which is something that most politicians in office can't get done, or by doing what someone in the media should do, giving you narratives that make sense, that empower the people to take action, call out hypocrisy, and not let dipshits get away with their dipshittiness. The actual lesson that we should learn from Jon Stewart's success, and Donald Trump's success for that matter, is not we need celebrities to be president. It's that we need our leaders to learn lessons from celebrities. People like Mike Johnson have spent so much time pretending to be authentic. That whole affect, the affect of the fake preacher who goes door to door, that Ted Cruz attempt to level with you.
The Democrats played a budgetary trick.
It no longer reads as authentic. What does read as authentic is talking like normal people, having a sense of humor, and just even a drop of charisma. It doesn't seem like a lot to ask. Literally, all I'm asking for in my leaders is to have a spine and a heartbeat. But that's hard to find these days. And so the people are throwing themselves at folks like Donald Trump, who is evil, and Jon Stewart, who is good. The same way you kind of find yourself attracted to your therapist because everybody outside the office is crazy and they're the only person who seems to make any sense. So the moral is, let Jon Stewart be Jon Stewart out in the wild. Even if it's for no other reason than it's nice to see him talk shit to a poser like Jack Parsabiak.
These people have suffered for 15 years because you're a fucking troll. You're a troll. Not in good faith.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button and watch this super awesome video about Tucker Carlson's origin story. Thanks.